Sorry about that. Is this a little better? Okay, cool. Sorry about that. So yeah, hi everyone. Welcome, welcome to class. Hope you're all staying warm. It is quite chilly outside. So I guess let's get moving and start warming up. We're going to start with our warm-ups, and then we're going to do our salute in, and then we'll do our normal practice cuts and thrusts, and then we're going to do a quick review of all of the kind of some of the drills we did last week, and then we'll learn one or two new ones depending on the time that we have. So let's go ahead and if you already have your sword in hand, put it aside, and let's do some warm-ups. All right. Let's see if we can combat this little, what is it, polar vortex. All right. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3. I'm sorry. Starting sliding around on my little mat here. Right. Start again. My bad. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Jumping jacks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And the deep lunge. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to do this one more time, but turn the toe up, the heel up here, right? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Knees. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, shake it out. Grab your sword trainer. All right. And let's salute. Go ahead and salute in. So, Aktun. and begrüße. All right. So let's go ahead and do our practice cuts. So I want to do this little saluting again and more kind of fluidly go right into our practice cuts. So let's begin again on the left shoulder. All right. So Achtung, Grüße. Go to the first position like we talked about last week. All right. Now from here, let's start our practice cuts. So let's go right into Lugensand, or the Vomtag for the longsword folks. Kind of cheating. I'm using a Kriegsmesse kind of object here because my ceilings are short now. And okay, so from this position, we're going to strike Oberhau to the Einhorn height, right? And that's kind of like as if you're cutting into the skull. Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Good. Okay. Now we're going to cut, same thing, that Oberhau, but we're going to cut to the throat height, right? As if, you're cutting about throat height, the long, like kind of the long point height, Schreckfenster height. Yeah. Okay. Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. All right, now we're going to cut to knee height, or the Alber or Bastei height. Eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Okay, now you can either continue being in the Hochvamtag or Lugensland, or if you want, you can go into the kind of the shoulder version of Vamtag, and what we're going to do is cut right over how, right? Und eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Okay, switch your feet. We're going to cut left Oberhau. And eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Good. Okay, now we're the same thing, left Oberhau, but then we're going to transition into Nebenhut on the right side, and then return a cut Unterhau with the Unterhau. Okay. Oh, eins, zwei, drei, vier, fünf, sechs, sieben, acht, neun, 10. Switch your feet. Same thing, opposite side. Then eins, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. All right. Let's do Mittelhau next. All right. Into a Mittelhut. Kind of horse stance. All right. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Switch sides. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. Let's all go into the right ox and cut right Oberhau. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Into the right neighborhood. 1. Actually, I'm going to, if you have space, take the step. If you don't, put that right foot forward, which is what I'm going to do because I don't want to nick my wall. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, into the right. I'm sorry, left ox. All right, so left ox. And we're going to cut Oberhau with. If you got the space, take the step. If not, start with that left foot forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, into the left neighborhood. If you have space, get ready to take the step. If not, keep that left foot forward. 1, Oberhau. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Great. All right. Now let's do some thrusts. All right. Beginning in the right flug, we are going to thrust into the right ox. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now from the right flug, we're going to go into left ox. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Switch your flug or Eba. All right, and from here, we're going to, on this left side, we are going to move into the right side. So Messer, you're going from left Eba to right Stia. And for longsword folks who don't know what that means, that's from flug on the left to ox on the right. All right? Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. Now, from that flug or Eba on the left, we're going to step and thrust into ox or Stia on the same side. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right. Now we're going to go from the long point, right foot forward into the long point. What we're going to do is first we're going to thrust right down the middle, arm length, at shoulder height, and we're going to make sure that if you have, say if you have a messer, the nagel is up, but your fingernails are down for your dominant hand. That's the hand that's the closest to the top. Right? I always kind of teach it as the right hand, but I know there's some sinister lefties out there. All right. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. So same thing. We're going to thrust, do shooting in, but we're going to instead have, if you have a messer, nagel down, and your your dominant hand, your right hand, is the one. Your fingernails should be facing up towards the sky. Okay. And 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, now we're going to do from this long point, we're going to go straight in as if you're maybe, say, stabbing someone in the throat, and that tip should mostly stay straight, right? So you're thrusting in, but it's moving forward, right? Okay, let's do 10 of these. Und 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Good. All right, shake it off. Shake it off. Grab water real quick. Quick water break. Okay, perfect. Do. Okay. So while you're grabbing some water, let me just queue up my other screen here. All right. Okay. So, what we're going to do is quickly, we're gonna. So last week, last couple sessions, we've been talking kind of about the Drei-Wunde, the three wounders, the three techniques we use to offend or offensively against our opponents, or at least physically. This isn't including Kampfgeist, that kind of psychological part. But we've been focusing on the Hauen, the strikes, or the hewing, the kind of the action that involves putting the sword forward in like broader strokes, right? Zoop. So to quickly review, we talked about some quick things about fixing how to like fix our grip. There's some check-in points, okay? Making sure that your grip is correct, making sure your stance is correct, making sure that when we do these cuts, we are extending fully. It's one of the reasons that when we talk about using trainers, it's always a good idea to make sure we're using something that is appropriate to our space, even if that's a wooden spoon. Because even if that spoon isn't heavy, I'd rather have someone use something that they can actually fully extend their arms with and do the proper motions with than worrying about kind of the resistance from it, okay? Making sure, and then also making sure we're doing those actions correctly in terms of making sure we get the sword tip out first and then follow through the rest of our actions. And making sure that we end correctly as well, which means that our wrists don't kind of like contort. That's going to lead to hurting ourselves. And the whole point, we're learning this to make sure other people can't hurt us with swords, so we should probably not hurt ourselves with the swords, right? Additionally, we kind of talked about learning cutting patterns. It's this kind of choreographies that are designed to help us practice and perfect basic actions. I always talk about these. I mean, I'm going to be very clear that a lot of this comes from my teachers and also a lot of our collective study of Eastern sword arts. It is a really good model to kind of superimpose a lot of training on. Especially because there's only so many different ways you can learn how to use a sword. So what we are learning in these cutting patterns are kind of, we've taken the idea of these kind of these lesson choreographies and made them fit our context, our European fencing manuals. And our approach to this is like always be mindful of making sure to learn the choreography, learning the context and intent behind that choreography, and then you're always kind of in this refinement, right? And it's always good to relearn this. So I like to think of these 3 points as like this continuous loop. You know, we're always kind of making sure that we always working to continuously refine. But a lot of times we have to go back and either relearn or study the context again, right? I just want to check to make sure there's nothing. I thought I heard a beep that someone asked to like it in. Okay, anyway, moving on. So we had talked about the cutting pattern introductions, which are, as we kind of like our, to a certain degree, are saluting in. We have Achtun, which means attention. Also kind of is like stop what you're doing and pay in that kind of way. And when you hear Achtun, place the sword on your left shoulder. Fertig, which means at the ready. Raise your sword so you're looking over the cross guard if you have it, and enter the first position. So it's kind of the salute to your opponent or teacher or leader, whoever's, especially because we do this in groups a lot. So it's kind of saluting the person who is leading, right? And then los, to go, let it loose, go, begin. Swords are brought to the left side and then forward and step forward with the right foot, the kind of in the long point in that kind of ready position. All right, so that's kind of now this is a particular 3 part kind of introduction for the longsword, or anytime you have a weapon that's out of scabbards, right? By out of scabbards, I mean literally not in the scabbard. We've been practicing a lot as our messer group practices with scabbards whenever possible. And so we have been working on practicing cutting cuts and draws together. And we're not covering that right now, but just for context for those folks, this is a different setup. But yes, so this is our primary. So this is our introduction pattern, right? Achtun, fertig, los. Whee! Now, Anfänger Übungsreihe. That's a lot. So basically, it's the first set of drills or exercises. And that's what these cutting patterns are. They're drills, they're exercises. I know this is a lot of vocabulary kind of tossing out there, but I promise I will make there is going to be a worksheet available. So let's begin. Erste, the first. All right. This is the one we did last week. And so I tried to keep everything on a single tidy little card. But essentially, those intro actions we just discussed. And then the cutting pattern overall that we're going for is, and then the overall cutting pattern that we're going for is practicing the right overhow and left overhow. That's the broad strokes here, right? Making sure that our correct foot is forward and we're arriving at these positions. And then we are then practicing the cut properly and resetting properly. So the first one, the erste, right overhow, left overhow, right? We did that last week. We'll review it again. Actually, yeah, let's just go ahead and review that again right now since we're here. Okay. All right. So hopefully I won't trip over this. Let me get this out of the way. We'll need this towards the end of class. Let's check on the time. I want to make sure I get all this in. Okay, perfect. All right. So what we're going to do, Achtun, sword is on the left shoulder. Fertig, into the first position. And then los. All right. Again, a couple of little details. When we go from the first position into the scabbards, our feet are still together. And then as we come out to the long point, the right foot comes forward and should land on the ground at the same time that our sword ends up forward, and our left hand, if you're using your offhand, either comes to your chest if you're using messer. So, or if you're using both hands on the sword, it's the same moment that your hand meets the sword itself. Okay, so from here, I'm going to back up a little bit, but I don't have a lot of room, so I'm going to be taking slightly half steps. All right, from here, we step forward with our left foot, go into the Warmtag or the Lügensland. Step forward again with our right foot. So now we are in the Lügensland or Warmtag with our right foot forward, and we're going to cut right overhow. Right? We're going to do that from here. We're now going to raise the sword back up. We're bringing the left foot forward to meet our right foot. Moving the right foot back. We're going to then cut left overhow. From here, we move our left foot back, and then right foot back into the first position. Yeah, very simple. We'll work on, and that backwards motion is the Abzug. We'll work on tidying up that stuff later, especially when we have more room. But you should you might have to take a couple more steps. Again, I know everyone, including myself right now, is limited space. But just the idea, we're retreating and trying to end up, withdrawing and attempting to end up generally in the same area where we started. When we have more space and are doing this outside and are choreographing it together, we're going to be focusing more on the individual steps and making sure that everyone's actually ending up in the same spot. It looks awesome. All right. All right. So that's the first one. Now, just for the context, a couple of the small things. Again, this is the engage, the ready, at the ready, and then your strike. The one thing, this action here, right, doesn't have to be fast, but it should be intentful. It's not just raising the sword up. You want to make sure that you're raising that sword from this Alver to this Vomtog, which is this is the Alver to Vomtog parry, right? Essentially, the idea is you've cut, maybe you've missed, or maybe you cut short on purpose or some such. Someone's cutting at you, so you've cut to Vomtog, and then return a cut. Right? So parry is essentially parrying the Vomtog, switching, and then cutting. Right? So that's the first one. So let's look at number 2. So the second, zweite, or zweite, same thing, very, very similar. Same introductory actions of Achtung, fertig, los. And we also begin, we do a right Oberhau, but once we've come to that Alber position, instead of changing our feet, what we do is we go from here to Nebenhut, right? And we then continue. Then we continue with an Unterhau, back to Vomtog, because we've done an Unterhau to Ox, the Vomtog for the ready, and then back down to Longsword to Abzug. All right. So let's take a look at this. All right. So follow along the best you can. All right. So Achtung, sword on the left shoulder, feet together. Achtung, fertig, los. All right. And if you want to get real fancy, you can bring it back to the shoulder. All right. Let's do that again. I'll do it a little slower, and let's do part by part. So Achtung, sword is on our shoulder. Fertig. Salute to the first position. Los, begin to the long point. Vomtag. Right foot forward in the Vomtag. Right Oberhau. Nebenhut. Unterhau. Back to Vomtag. The right foot is right foot behind, left foot behind the long point, and then back to the first position, and back to the shoulder. All right, let's do it again. All right, Achtung, fertig, los. Let's do it again, one more time, all right? And Achtung, fertig, los. Okay. All right. Before we move on to the third one, does anyone have any questions? Type something in the text box. Does anyone have, or hit the hand raise button and then text type something? Does anyone have any questions before we move on to the next part? Going once. Going twice. Okay, we're going to move on. Let's see. So let's go to the third one. How are we doing on time? Okay. Okay, so the third part. Dritte. Same basic beginning. Do your intro salute to the ready, and then engage. Doing come to the Vomtag, do that right overhowl, and then we're going to. But then we're going to do something a little different. After you do that right overhowl, we're going to bring our sword or messer to the middle hut, the little guard on our left, and we're going to cut middle howl. And then from there, we're going to go back to Vomtag, Longsword, etc. Okay, so let us take a quick look at what this looks like. So, Achtung. Fertig. Got ahead of myself there. Achtung. Fertig. Los. All right, so that's what that looks like. Grab your sword now and let's go through it step by step. All right, so Achtung. Fertig. Salute the first position. Los. Now from here, from the long point, up to the Vomtag. Ready at the Vomtag. Cut right overhowl. Step out with your right foot to your right, and put put your sword or messer into the middle hut, yeah, and cut mittelhow. All right. Now from here, we're going to go back to Vomtag by stepping backwards with our right foot. Yeah. Back into the long point. Back into the first position. And sword returns to the shoulder. All right. One more time. Well, let's do it a couple more times just to kind of get it in there, and then we'll review everything. All right. So Achtung. Fertig. Los. Right overhowl. Mittelhut. Mittelhowl. Vomtag. Long point. First position. Shoulder. A little faster this time. So Achtung. Fertig. Los. Left foot. Right foot. Oberhowl. Mittelhut. Mittelhowl. Lugenslan. Long point. First position. Shoulder. Sehr gut. Okay. Achtung. Fertig. Los. All right, one more time, all together now. Achtung. Fertig. Los. Sehr gut. Okay. Prima. Does anybody have any questions about what we have, what we've done so far, or any questions about any of the details of what we've done? No? Okay. If you have a question, the easiest way to go about it is hit the raise hand button and then start typing something. Oh, Katie Mead. Katie asks, is there a reason you step back with the right foot after the middle how? Yes. Part of it, let me go back. Let me switch windows here. So the reason we do the switch is, because a lot of your, after you do this middle how, it's on foot already. And so it is good to it is nice to be able to readjust it. But part of the reason we step back into this Vomtog is because from here, I'm trying not to destroy my lamp. If I might have a shorter messer that I can practice, I can show with, but from here, you can still think of it as a parry to Vomtog, right? Not saying that you completely mess this up, but it's a that's why this is supposed to be like an intentful return to a structured spot. There are more advanced forms of this that do that middle how with a follow-up leftover how, but this is like the more beginner part. So yeah, right. It also, the other thing it does, aside from providing this nice Vomtog parry, it kind of reset when you're practicing in a confined space. It also resets you back towards where you began, so you can kind of start working in this square, if that makes any sense. Katie, does that answer the does that answer good? Yeah. Any other questions or follow-up questions? All right. Oh, versus the left foot. Okay, sure. Well, I think personally, I find that kind of feels a little weaker, and it also kind of, especially because after you've done this right overhow, you step out with the right foot. That's just part of the choreography to set up for this middle how, and doing that cut. After you do that cut, as I kind of said before, it helps you kind of reset back to the place you were in. I'm not sure if there is a structural answer to that, why you would do, other than the fact that it also, by raising the sword up, you'd have to do this kind of gathering step back. And I think the point here is to, or the point of this choreography is trying to get you to passing step back. I'm not sure exactly if there's a structural reason behind that. It might just be a methodology, because that kind of ties into the choreography. But I do think that passing steps tend to be stronger in that, stronger in the application of technique in some ways. But I also don't want to talk out of my ass here. That part I do because I was taught to do it that way. I assume it has a lot to do, again, with wanting you to get from this position into this Vomtog in a way that, so that when you bring the sword back down to long point, your right foot is forward, as part of the kind of presentation. And that's, and I use the word choreography for this stuff intentionally, partially because I think that there is certainly an attempt at making a lot of this visually pleasing. If anyone has seen any of the footage we've posted of the groups of people, groups of HEMA, especially when we have our messers and we're doing the draw cut stuff, it almost looks like this beautiful dance happening. It's very visually, aesthetically pleasing to watch all of it be performed. So sorry, long rambling answer to your question. A, it's because it's how I was taught. B, I think it has something to do probably more with the choreography than maybe strict structural things, but that is a question I can pass on. All right. All right, so we have just about what 13 minutes left. So we're gonna take a cut. Let's do let's review, okay? Probably do, let's see. Let's do a few more minutes of this, and then let's let's do a few more minutes of this, and then we will have another little chat. Okay, so let's go through all of them. Start with erste. Okay, the first one. So Octun, fertig, los, zweite, tu, fertig, los, und dritte, fertig, los. All right, let's do that a couple more times. Und Octun, fertig, los, dritte. I'm sorry, Zwitte, second, fertig, los, und dritte, third, fertig, los. Ooh. Try not to destroy my apartment. Okay. One more time for good measure. All right. Achtun. Erste. Fertig. Los. Achtun. Zweite. Fertig. Los. Achtun. Dritte. Fertig. Los. Dankeschön. Okay. All right, so those are the first three, or the first three patterns. Don't really have time to teach the fourth, but that will come in. Part two of this series, or part three, I guess, of this series. What we're going to do is the next class that we have is going to be we're going to review these materials and then learn the fourth and fifth. And there are 6 in total, but the 5th is a mirror of the 6th, in which we will discuss if we have time, which we probably will. So we have just about 6 minutes left in class. I had hoped to do some cardio punishment stuff, but I got talky and then I didn't have time. Because one of the so just a couple announcements, all good stuff. We have some fun classes coming up in the next month. We're going to be kind of swapping out teacher, like as we've been doing through January, which was very, very successful. We'll be kind of doing we're trying to get some like different lectures going on and some different different classes to kind of switch it up. So we have Kat Hamilton will be doing a yoga for sword people class. Katie K is going to be doing some fitness classes for us. I heard a rumor about that. I'm probably going to be doing some another part of these cutting combinations just so we can round it out. And then I'm going to be kind of getting into some more messer related material, or maybe I'm hoping to start making more of a distinction between longsword and messer classes, even though you can kind of do it with all of it. And there's also some other fun things happening. I'm trying to see if they're nearby, because we have some fun GMAC swag that's coming out in the near future. I will have more about that soon, including some sparkling hologram stickers, which so that will be fun. And additionally, I believe Josh and Kat are gonna have worked on a survey for me. One of the things that I want to do is reach out to all of you and see how we can improve these classes. Okay, these classes are for your enjoyment, and I want to make sure you're getting what you want and like what you need out of them. So we've put together a little survey for folks. Kat, could you drop that into the chat when you get a chance? We're going to put this link on. We're going to put up a link to a Google form. It's going to be on the Discord. There's going to be a blog post about it on longestsemester.com, and we'll get it. Yeah. So it just takes a couple minutes, or not even probably that much time. If you could take a look at it, give us some feedback. It would be really helpful to see how we can structure these better to be like more informative and entertaining, and see how we can kind of spice it up a little bit. We're in kind of the long kind of the deep part of winter that gets very cold and very lonely, and so I want to make sure that at least we all have this together to get excited about. Okay, I know it will help me and everyone else who's helping bring all these classes to you. So yeah, check it out. The survey has been posted in the chat box here. We're going to post it on the Discord and on longestsemester.com. I'm going to I'll also ask the GMAC folks if we can post like maybe a link on their website for the duration of its run, or at least of the survey's run. I mean, and that is so that's class for today. I really appreciate everyone who took the time to be here. We don't charge for these classes, but I do have a tip jar right here. My Ko-Fi link is right here. Anything you can give goes back into helping me make these classes, all resources for these classes, keeping the lights on, doing research, making these fun graphics that we get once in a while. And if you can't, that's okay too. Things are still crazy. still unemployed myself, and so I understand things are a little nuts right now. So if you can't, that's okay. Sit back and keep enjoying the classes. I hope I hope it's these are still something to look forward to. And but otherwise, thank you everyone so much for coming. And I will. Before I go, one last thing. So one of the things that one of the other exciting things is that we're going to continue posting all these classes. I know I'm a little behind on posting the lectures and everything. It got to be a little much posting it at the end of every week. So we're going to be on a release schedule. At the end of every month, I will post the past month's classes, so everyone can uh, take a look at what we've done and get caught up. All right. So yeah, that being said, keep warm, be safe, everyone, wear a mask, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Good night.
I guess it's my fault this thing is still recording. I'm a little sorry.